Afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another video. What I wanted to talk about today and show you guys is from forest to ember, meaning bow drill fire. It's not something I come out in the woods with, you know, packed in my kit or anything like that. When I come out in the woods and practice my skills, I like to do it from start to finish, you know, so I don't have a proven set, you know, that I keep in the house and let it dry out and be all perfect, you know. Part of practicing your skills is coming out here and doing it, you know, real world, probably how it's going to happen. You know, you lose your kit or damage your kit, something like that. These are the skills that replace things that you already have. So this is generally what I look for when I go to make a kit. This is a dead standing pine. It's dead. You can hear that, so it's nice and dry. So this is definitely something that I look for when I go to make a bow drill set. I've had a lot of luck with pine in general, so we're going to try this one out today and see how it goes for us. So let me get my kit off, break out my saw, and we'll make this whole set right here today on film for you guys and try to get a coal out of it. Stay tuned. Alright, let's get this back to our little spot and start making this set. Alright guys, so all I did was knock over the rest of that. You can see where I snapped it off at the bottom. That's the piece that I cut my main piece from. And then I just cut one more piece that I can use as a baton with my knife because I don't have an axe with me here today. So you can see this has some checks in it already. So I'm going to try to split it just like that instead of the opposite way, you know, like that. So I don't have them splits. Some of this is going to be my hearthboard. I'm trying to get the spindle out of it and stuff like that. In a friction fire set, I believe, no matter what you're using, you want all your material from the same piece, hence friction. A lot of people have used different techniques. I've tried a bunch of different techniques, mix matching woods, you know, cottonwood with pine and this with that and that sort of thing. You know, you can get it to work, but I find the best result in friction fire is using all your pieces from the same material, same piece of wood. So that's what we're gonna do. Probably definitely be a lot easier if I had my axe, that's for sure. And you don't really need a piece this thick, but I like having a nice meaty hearthboard, so. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and split it down again, try to get something flat here. Somewhere between a 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch thick, preferably if I can. It's running off on me. Probably because of the knots. That's alright. Come at it from the other side. Alright, so I'm thinking out of this piece right here I can flatten this out, a little bit of carving. I'll take off some of this roundedness here on the back side, and I should be able to get that to work. Alright, so that give us at least a couple attempts. Nothing fancy. It'd been a lot easier, like I said, with an axe, but I'm not one for excuses, so I'm gonna make do with that knife. Now I'm gonna take that leftover piece and I'm gonna have to cut it down with the saw again. I like my spindles a little bit longer, easier to freaking work with when you're going at it with the bow. So I'm gonna split this down, get a spindle out of it. So I'll have to split it down at least a couple more times. 2-3 more times maybe. Alright. It's looking like the best piece I'm going to get is not even on either end. It's actually right here in between these two knots. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that with my saw on either side of them knots, and I'll be able to carve the rest of this down with my woodsman trapper here. Break the knife back out, clean this up a bit. Probably go ahead and chop that down one more again. Rest I can do by hand. Alright, woodsman trapper makes short work of that, that's for sure. Telling you, probably a little biased being that it's mine, but that's okay. Abe does a hell of a job on these things, man. It just shuck wood like there's no tomorrow. Alright, so there's our spindle. We're going to toss that aside for the moment. Again, we already got at least 4 opportunities for a hearth board right there. So that's good to go. So all we need is a bearing block and a bow. The bow is the easy part. You can pretty much find any sapling out here and string some paracord to it and you're good. So let's get a handhold. Now this is the part that you don't want all your friction on, so if you can find something, maybe a rock with a divot in it already for your spindle, all the better. I hate using the wood handholds because it just builds up friction. Now there's tricks to that. You can throw green leaves in there and spit in it and stuff like that to keep it lubed up. But I like using other things if I can find them. I did have a rock with a divot with one of my old sets, I just can't find it. So I'm going to have to make a handhold, that's all. See if I can use some of this baton that I had cut. Try that out. Get the saw back here. Zip a piece of that off. Alright, that little nub off there. Now we can drill a hole into this, and we'll have to use one of them techniques I was talking about with green leaves or something like that. Alright guys, so I just cut a small sapling. Had a Y branch right there. I like to use something like that to give something for my paracord to hold on to. I can just throw a loop in it. And then on the other end, I like to put a notch like that, so when my paracord comes down, I can go through that notch, throw a couple half hitches on there, and then I can hold that with my hand. Makes it pretty easy that way. So I'm going to get this thing strung up with some paracord. We'll show you the process of starting out, you know, an indent for on our hearthboard for our spindle. I've already done that to the handheld that I made. Just took my knife, created a little indent in that. That'll be my handheld, and the spindle will sit in there obviously like a socket. So adjust the camera here, get going on the hearthboard, string that bow up with the paracord, and we'll try it out. Guys, so here's our hearthboard. I'm just going to take my spindle, which I've made a little narrower on one end than the other. You want all your friction on the board and not in the handheld. So one side of that I usually try to narrow off and then round off, and then the part that's going on the board itself I try to leave a little bit fatter, again because that's where you want all your friction. So take that, go close to the edge on your board here, kind of eyeball it. That's where you're going to create your divot with your knife. So we'll do that. Alright guys, so we created our notch as the starting point. We've got our bow strung up, and you can see how loose this thing is. You don't need to string this thing up like a banjo. So get that set, get it in our starting point, get our handhold on there, and all we're looking to do is marry these two pieces together, or three actually, the spindle, the hearthboard, and the handheld. So we're just going to go easy, try to get these to marry up. And you can see smoke there, and that's fine. We're not looking to start a fire. So now that we've got that done, now we need to cut a notch in our hearthboard, somewhere to let that dust fall into, which is going to create our ember or our coal. So just in front of that burnt in hole, which isn't looking too good by the way, what you want is black dust. If you're not getting black dust, probably not going to be too successful. Now you don't want to get too crazy with this notch either, because if you take too much out, your spindle is going to want to bounce right out of that. But there again, if you don't take enough out, you're not going to get enough dust buildup to get a coal. So I'm going to give it another go here.